So good morning, Master Class. We are Tuesday, May the 4th, 2021. Tuesday is interview day, and I had a little technical glitch between me and our interviewee. So he's going to be doing this with little to zero preparation and thought. So we have Rod Rogers here today. Rod is one of our new members at the park. He's already one of the most servant-minded of everybody at the park. He and Judy are just servants at heart. And the good news is every time we have one of a pair go first, the pair goes next. So next week we're going to get Judy's story. So we can look forward to that. And so Rod, as you know, usually we go 10, 15 minutes, tell us your story, and then we'll shoot some questions at you. So I will turn it over to you.
Okay. Oh, this is going to be really boring, but we all start off, I guess, where we were born and when we were born. And I was born in 1946 in Freeport, Texas, which is a little town on the Gulf Coast. And mom and dad, and I had lucky enough to have two grandparents that lived nearby, which really kind of helped my growing up in a lot of ways. And I have one cousin who is kind of grew up with me, kind of more like a sister than a cousin, because there's some difficulties at home and all, but that was kind of, and I have one brother, Gary, and we ran around Freeport, Texas, causing trouble and doing all kinds of fun things. But we had a good childhood, and no big trauma occurred to us. At least we thought it was trauma at the time, but it turned out it wasn't. It's all for our own good. But otherwise, we had a nice growing up. We had a small Church of Christ in Freeport, and that's where we went to church, and that's where I was baptized, and my brother was baptized there. At about age, I think I reached the age of accountability at about 12. But I really don't know how accountable I was. But that's kind of where we got to start. Went to Brazosport High School. Graduated in 1964, which was kind of an eventful year, I guess, in terms of our national history. I think that's the year that
63.
63, okay.
I don't know. Sorry.
That's when President Kennedy was assassinated. I left high school, and I guess in high school I had most of my friends were either in FFA or DE, which is distributive education. You work part-time in school part-time, but my parents, tell you a little bit about my parents. Mom was raised on a farm in Robstown, Texas. They farmed shares. And dad was raised in Freeport, most of his life in Freeport. He was born in Central Texas, and he had usually 2 or 3 jobs. He worked for Dow Chemical part-time until Hurricane Carla came through, and then he Then he went to work for him full time. We ran cattle on the side and hay. And Dad also painted cars on the side. He was kind of the go-to fix-it guy in our church for most of the elders and stuff. And I mean, for most of the elderly. And widows and so forth. That just needed help fixing things up, whatever. And Dad had an interesting life. I think it's kind of interesting story. He, at 3 years old, he had polio, and that was a pretty rampant disease at that point in time. And the doctors told his parents that they needed to put him in braces, and if they didn't, he wouldn't be able to walk. Well, my grandmother, I think she was probably, I don't know all the details of this, but she was probably the one, just knowing her, that said, no, we're gonna do it without braces. And so they did, and he walked, and not real good all the time, but I didn't hardly realize. I knew he walked with a limp, but that was just, I saw him every day, and I didn't really think about it. But he accomplished a lot of physical feats that many people, I don't think, realized how difficult they were for him.
Tell about the physical therapy she did.
Oh yeah, the physical therapy that she gave him, she reminded me, was she would, this was on the Gulf Coast, and she would take him out to the beach and just sit him in the water and let those waves rock him back and forth. And we also lived on a river, and so she taught him to swim at a real young age. And so she was, I don't know if there was a branch of medicine called physical therapy at that time, but if there wasn't, this was the closest thing to it. And but it equipped him to do a lot of things that otherwise he wouldn't be able to do. And so that was our dad, and we learned how to work because we all worked right alongside with him. Usually, if it wasn't at the plant, at the Dow Chemical plant where he worked. But so we were raised by those two, and my mother, I guess she was raised on a farm that they had. She had 7 brothers and sisters, and they picked most of their own cotton, except they had a really good year. They would get outside help that would usually come in from Mexico and camp in their around their house. And she would always tell the story about her main job was sewing cotton sacks up, because when they were hand picking cotton, they would throw it in a long white sack and drag it to the fields. And she developed a real heart for people that were doing that kind of work. And when she was when we were growing up, she did a lot of things for the Hispanic community, and one of them was she worked in she and some other ladies started a class for little kids that didn't speak English before they went to school. It made it very extremely difficult for kids that didn't know English, because the teachers didn't know Spanish. And so they tried to prepare them for school, and it was called La Escuelita, little school is what they started. And she she was a Bible class teacher and BBS and did all those kinds of things. So growing up. And so I think that had a big influence on us and how important it is to take care of people that are kind of on the edges of society. She instilled that into us. I went to school after high school. I went to spend a couple of years at Sam Houston State. And I was interested in what I really wanted to do was what a guy at Dow Chemical kind of piqued my interest in. He was a researcher and he was trying to find chemicals that would for application on livestock, especially cattle. And I was working for him part-time. And I asked him one time about just what he does, because it really kind of piqued my interest. And so he explained it to me, and he said, well, if you really want to get into this, you need to go to school at Texas A&M or Texas Tech. And so Texas A&M at the time was an all male school and was all military at that time. So all the guys were prepping to, well, at that time, I guess Vietnam was just getting started. And I wanted to avoid that, so I went to Texas Tech, which didn't really help me avoid that. Really got me anyway. But I had known Judy in high school. We went to high school together, and she really impressed me in high school because she was just one of these people had it all together, cute as a bug, and so I was in love with her for a long time before she knew it. And about my second year in college, I started dating her. And so it didn't take me long to figure out that this was the kind of gal that I wanted to be with forever. And so sure enough, she decided that made a good decision. And so we got married on December 31st, 1966. So it was a great day in our life, great day in mine for sure. And then we moved to Lubbock, Texas, and we managed to both be working and going. And I went to school and I finished up my degree there. And instead of getting drafted, we got in I got in an ROTC program that lasted for 2 years, which let me finish up my degree. And it was really designed to develop platoon leaders in Vietnam. So we took that route, and let's see, I went to Vietnam in 1971. Yeah, 1971, which was kind of at the end of the war, which is good. I mean, it was the best part of it. And the worst part of it was I left Judy and our 2-week-old son and to go. And the best part of it was that I got to come back and my 2-week-old son knew my name, knew I was daddy, which was the most amazing thing. And so next step was I had a friend before I left he said, I've got a job for you at Iowa State University. And the great part of it is you can use the work that you do for your PhD dissertation. And so I said, oh, that sounds good, and worked out great. And I had, I had my income from that plus GI Bill, everything. We did fine, and Judy got to stay home with the baby, which was another part of our plan. And so we just lived happily ever after, pretty much. We lived in 2 or 3 different places in the Midwest, and moved back to Lubbock in 1978. And were members in Monterey Church of Christ there till we moved to Tulsa, Oklahoma. And it was pretty much our life. We in terms of things that we really love to do in church, and we do most everything that we do together. And that was a habit that we developed when I first started working for as a plant breeder for a seed company. Had to travel a lot, and so just decided that, what we do in church, we're going to try to do it together. And because we were apart enough as it was, and we were able to do that pretty much. And she and I worked together with children's ministry for our whole married life, pretty much. And then when I left the seed company and went to work for Lubbock Christian University. It was a seed company. If I stayed with them, I was going to have to move to some place we didn't want to move to. And so we went to work at Lubbock Christian, and I taught ag and biology courses there primarily, and got to be with a bunch of great kids. And we had what we call the Aggie Club, and a service club at Lubbock Christian, and I sponsored them and got to hang out with those kids. And that was just a blast. Every Wednesday night we'd head out for a little church in the country, and pretty much people that are like our age now, and they loved it. The people that they were serving loved it, and it was just amazing. It was just an amazing group of kids. And Judy she helped out with that too. We had kids over at our house all the time, and so our 2 kids, Judy just gave me some notes. Our 2 kids are John, he was born in 1971, and Lori, she was born in 1975. John lives in Lubbock, Texas right now, and Lori lives here in Tulsa with our 2 grandkids. And her husband. And we like both of them a lot. So we've missed John, but we're glad we're around Lori and her family here. What else?
They might have questions.
Yeah, I think maybe that's about it. Will I have any questions?
So did you play sports in high school?
No, I tried to one year, but when I was 13 years old, my dad had a good friend who owned the grocery store, and he asked me if I wanted to work, and I forget what he paid me, but whatever it was, sounded like a whole lot to me. And so I worked for him Bobby Gerard. And I worked for him, after school. They weren't open on weekends, I guess, at that time anyway. And I would deliver, my main job was delivering groceries to the shrimp boats. At that time, Freeport, Texas was the shrimp capital of the United States of America.
Right.
And so I'd deliver groceries to them, and then he was a great mentor. I could tell you a lot of great stories about him, but he was just a great man in my life. And he got me a couple of different jobs during high school. And the best one was working for oil exploration offshore. It was a great job for a kid. I mean, I couldn't. But he taught me a lot. What I remember most about those guys were that they left. There were two brothers that ran the store, and they left for Louisiana to visit their parents, aging parents one time, and they let me run the store in quotation marks for 2 or 3 days. And I've been working for them for a while, but what they didn't know was actually the little lady that ran the cash register. She really ran the store while they were going on. But they were really, Bobby Gerard went to church with us, and he was the guy that bought the soda water for the kiddos, and he was just a great guy.
So when did your parents pass away?
My dad died when he was 53 years old in 1978.
Okay.
And mother she died 2016. She
Okay.
died 2016. She lived a long life.
But she lived in Lubbock.
And she lived in Lubbock that whole time. When he died, she moved to Lubbock with us.
So did you happen to have a student named Joel Osborne that you remember?
Joel Osborne.
He ran Contact Church here in town. I can't remember if he went to Lubbock or Abilene, but he was really involved in ag. I thought maybe you knew him.
I don't remember.
But he may have gone to Abilene. Yeah.
How
He was
old?
he's probably 55 or so.
So we would have
It-
had-
He may have been before. I didn't start till 95 is when I started.
Oh, okay.
So he may not have been there.
Well, I will open it up to LaDanta and Lynn and Una and see if they have anything they want to ask.
So you got your PhD?
Yeah.
So we call you Dr. Rogers, not Mr. Rogers?
Oh, or Dr. Rogers, sir, that'd be better.
Okay, we got,
No,
We'll do that.
I was teasing.
Don't believe him. Call him wrong.
Just call me. Most people call me you or hey you or something like that.
That's great.
Well, you
LaDanta,
are an amazing couple, and I'm so glad that you are at Park. And I am just kind of curious what your degree, is that what you set out to do when you got your degree, to teach? Or do something in agriculture, I guess, but was it for teaching?
No, I really did two things. I started in research with a seed company and developing new varieties of crops. And I started out in corn, and then I also worked in milo and cotton a little bit. And then I switched over to teaching. I'd been kind of teaching at Lubbock Christian part-time, class in genetics. And I switched over there when you know, we were faced with moving somewhere we really didn't want to move, and I like teaching out there, so that's when I went, but I didn't start with teaching in mind. I started with research in mind.
Okay.
Rod, my uncle his name was Jim Bob Smith, and he was a geneticist and wrote books on agriculture genetics, or one of the early books. So I grew up around the thought process of how do you improve plants and
Yeah.
animals.
Yeah, it is so fun and it's so rewarding to get a variety that is accepted by a lot of farmers. That's just, it's really that's the reward, but it takes a long time.
Yeah.
Do you,
One of my favorite books is a book called Guns, Germs, and Steel by Jared Diamond. And he talks about how the people in Asia first got wheat, how they bred wheat. And I always thought, how interesting. How did they start with grass and end up with wheat?
wow,
And you know, they had no training, no education. They barely had a language. And yet they were able to change grass to wheat. And that's so
Yeah,
amazing what people have been able to do.
yeah, it is. It's you know, the crop yields since people have really gotten into it in a big way have increased dramatically.
So what was it when you started, like wheat, for instance? What was it when you started? What was it when kind of toward the end of your career?
You mean the yields, crop yields? Well,
Like
I
my
think,
grandparents got 30 bushels an acre. So
yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. Wheat didn't change quite as dramatically, but because it wasn't hybridized. But corn, I know average yields in the United States when I was first starting were, they were 100 bushels per acre. And now it's almost 200 bushels per acre.
wow.
wow.
And I mean, and it's not uncommon to get 200 bushels per acre at all anymore, which is unheard of in those days.
Wow.
So it's fun,
Yeah.
but not near as much fun as those Aggies that I got to teach with. They're a lot of fun. And I can relate to them because they were, you know, they could be kind of knotheads like I was. So I had pretty good, they didn't surprise me with much.
I can't even imagine you got disciplined a single time when you grew up.
He has an ornery look in his eyes.
Yeah.
You can see that.
Uh,
Do you guys miss the ocean, the Gulf, the water, the Gulf?
Yes.
Do you?
Yeah, we saw it 2 weeks ago, I guess. But we had Rod's cousin with us, so we ate at seafood place and we didn't go down to the water. She was tired. I always put my feet in them, but anyway.
Yeah.
I will tell you what Rod did once with a friend who's now was a judge. He's retired. They were running the projector upstairs at church. I don't know why they had a projector, but
No,
they
we were recording.
recording the sermon. And they decided they were going to the fast food place real quick to get a drink, a soda fountain drink. So you finish it. It quit going.
Well, we knew it could run itself, but you know, we weren't familiar with all the problems that could occur to it. And so we went and got our Coke at the little Dairy Queen kind of thing, and came back, and this was up in the balcony, and we had a balcony, nobody ever sat in it, but we had a balcony, and so we were tiptoeing up the stairs, and I reached the top of the stairs and I could see the floor of the balcony, and I could see this pair of wingtip shoes that I knew belonged to my dad. And and so we got up there and sure enough, it was my dad. So both me and like Judy said, this other guy now, he was in the army about the same time I was, but he was he became a lawyer and he's a federal judge, retired federal judge, I guess, if they ever
They
retired.
are, they retired.
Yeah, that was a dark day.
Well, Rod, I really appreciate you standing in at the last second. And Judy, now you have a week to prepare. And you can tell us everything Rod
Oh,
forgot.
you know what?
You know what? We'll be out of town and
Oh, are you?
We really will.
Oh, okay.
Next week.
We'll
Hey,
get
Judy.
you coming week.
Judy,
then.
you can do it from out of town, you know.
But I don't think
You
we
can
have
do
internet.
Zoom anywhere.
I'll do it the week next. What's the
Okay.
next Wednesday?
All right, next Tuesday.
I promise. That way I'll have, oh yeah, this is Tuesday. I don't know days since the grandkids were here.
All right. Well, again, thank you so very much. And before we get off, I want to let everybody know that Kit is having a good day.
Oh, good.
Making improvement. He walked 90 feet yesterday. The meds are still fogging his brain, but he's good. They're hoping to go to Atlanta as early as tomorrow to continue his rehab there. So they're waiting on some insurance stuff, but other than that, they're ready to go. So that's all very good news.
It's good news.
Well,
Let me
it's a-
just say something too, Phil, if I may make an announcement.
Uh-huh.
Ellen Bryant's birthday, and you may want to send this out, except that her birthday is May the 10th.
Okay.
We girls are not going to be in town either to take her out or anything, but it'd be so nice if a bunch of people could send her a card. She
Okay.
is really feeling lonely. She needs people to go and see her.
Okay.
Just maybe even for an hour. She just said she does so good, but she has spells
Yeah.
that we all do that. We all have spells of being down, and she
Okay.
was down Sunday, and she needs a little picking up. So,
Well, I was actually going to call you to see if you want to run out there with me this week sometime. So I'll check. with
oh, okay, I'm actually meeting her tomorrow at Lowe's.
you. Are
She
you?
wanted to get some flowers and some trees and some plants, so I'm not sure what time, but
Okay.
we
Well,
might could go to lunch out there somewhere before we go to Lowe's. That's
I-
Wednesday.
I think I already have a lunch, but
Okay.
let me look and see. So,
Okay,
but we'll
that's
do it
good.
sometime. Okay.
okay,
Thanks, Ladanta. Appreciate
uh-huh,
it. All right.
okay.
Thanks again,
Bye-bye.
Rod. Appreciate you very much.
My pleasure.